BBC Hooniverse.
What was it like working on the story, The Time and the Rani?
Time in the Rani was the most difficult story I worked on Doctor Who because I inherited it. And I inherited the writers who were very difficult to work with. So Pip and Jane Baker had developed one episode of a four-part story for John, the producer, and so that he knew that if the show was going to go again because it had been suspended, it was on hiatus. He knew if that it was going to go again, it would go quickly, and he thought that having one script in the bag would give him a head start. It didn't turn out that way, and nothing worked out on that show. However, it had some great actors, including Kate O'Mara. It had fantastic design, and there's a lot of good things about it, including the fact that it introduced Sylvester to the world.
Yeah. And do you think that uh, the story has become more popular because of the Rani returning into recent Who? Do you think that it's made the character more people will love it and more people will come to the older stories because of that?
The Ronnie was always a great character, and more, credit where it's due. Pip and Jane came up with a winner there.
Yeah. And before you started working on Doctor Who, were you a fan of the show previously? Had you seen it before?
No, I wasn't a fan of the show, but that's not to say I didn't like it. It's just that, I mean, the only show I've ever really been a fan of was The Prisoner. I actually joined the Prisoner fan club. I liked it so much. So I wasn't a fan of Doctor Who, and I didn't watch it, but I had a lot of affection for it. I had some knowledge of it, and I had seen it.
Yeah. And with having seen bits of it, did that help you to understand the sort of tone that you were aiming
I
for?
absolutely understood the appeal, and I understood its place in the culture. The Daleks, the TARDIS, I understood all that. I mean, when I was growing up, I had a Doctor Who annual, for instance, and I watched some of the very early episodes. So I totally got Doctor Who, which not everybody does. I mean, one of the problems with getting people to write for it is they just couldn't wrap their head around the show.
Yeah. And and on the back of that, you've also worked in one of the I call it the most expensive area in the world of Doctor Who, because there's so much of it, not because one thing's more expensive than the other, but it's because of a lot of it. What was it like working on the Doctor Who main range Winter of the Adapt?
Winter of the Adept, Winter for the Adept,
The Adapt.
you give it its true title, was a Big Finish audio adventure. And it was one of the very, very early ones, and it was fun to do. I liked doing it. I worked with Peter Davison. I was going to write it as a Sylvester story, but Gary Russell, who was the producer or the script editor, anyway, he was in charge, felt it would challenge me to write for another Doctor. I don't know what value there was in that, but it was fun running for Peter Davison, and I enjoyed creating that.
Yeah. And was it a different way of working than writing on TV version of the show? Was it a different? Did you have to
It
work it differently?
Sorry, Tom, to interrupt. It might have been the first, I can't remember, but I think no, I was going to say it was the first audio drama I'd written, but I'd actually tried to write some radio scripts before, so it wasn't my first attempt.
One of the other, what I would say, memorable in a sense of a lot of people remember it, and even right now, thinking about it, I can picture it vividly. But that might just be because it's me. But well, what was it like working on the story Battlefield?
Well, it was great because I was working with Ben Aronovich, who was the most natural Doctor Who writer that I worked with in my time on the show. And Ben and I had already done one story together, his fantastic story, Remembrance of the Daleks. And it was great to get him back and get him to do another one. I know that he doesn't love Battlefield the way he loves Remembrance, but there's so many great things in it. And also, what a great cast.
Yeah. And do you think that it helped with having the box set, the collection box set? Do you think having those in and utilizing some of the original like film reels, and the term might have escaped me there. So that was the
All
best.
those supplements and all those missing scenes and all those extras are really valuable, and it's great to have them. I really, really appreciate that. In particular, um, the Happiness Patrol has been utterly transformed, and I'm very grateful to the people who did that.
do you think that that's what helps to showcase how beautiful and how brilliantly Classic Who is sort of formed together, having a chance for audiences that might have not wanted to watch it before, but having this way of watching it, do you think that helps to bring back the love of classic Doctor Who?
Well, audiences are getting the first chance to see some of this because scripts were often too long and too much material was shot. And so they had to be edited down so people didn't see everything that we made. And sometimes that destroyed a story. And now, for the first time, audiences are able to see things the way they're intended to be, which is fantastic. And I don't know if that will be the crucial thing in making people love old Who, but it's certainly going to help.
Yeah, and do you think that when you see the reaction to the fans once you've seen these, does that bring you joy that you now know that a whole new generation are loving your work?
Well, the new generation and the old generation, because people who had seen the Happiness Patrol at the time didn't like it, but they didn't see the proper thing. So both new and old audiences are getting a chance to see these
Yeah,
and to
yeah,
love them.
yeah, and I think that's what I think from an insider perspective of knowing a lot about Doctor, and I think that having these box sets shows these people that might have been skeptical of it, says, well, if you watch this version, you'll see it for the joy, for the pure amazingness it is, because it's a lot more cleaner as well, so that it's more up to date. Do you think that's another aspect because it's more of a cleaner image than it would have been when it was first broadcast?
I think it helps, but I think some people will never like Doctor Who, and that's fine. Not everybody should, but it's certainly giving the shows their best possible chance to get across and for people to love them.
Yeah, and one of the other stories that I would also say is as brilliant as Battlefield. What was it like working on the greatest show in the galaxy?
Well, it was wonderful. Again, I'm going to mention my book, Script Doctor, because it will tell you this behind the scenes story. But at that time, that show almost didn't happen because they had to close down the television studios because they'd found asbestos in them and they felt they were unsafe to work in. But John Nathan Turner, the producer, worked a fantastic workaround where we could shoot somewhere else out at Elstree. And so it's wonderful the show ever happened. But the great thing about that show is that Stephen Wyatt had written this script, which was a wonderful script, but it was beautifully interpreted by the director Alan Waring. You, because a director can make or destroy a script, and Alan did a wonderful job on that with his supreme cast, including people like Jessica Martin, who's a very good friend of mine now, but I met her on that as part of an enormously talented and diverse cast, and it was just also beautifully photographed. It's one of the ones that really came together beautifully.
Don't forget to subscribe to the official Tom Mason YouTube channel